Some say on Halloween night, if you go past 7 black gates, you will see the 7 gates of hell. I thought it was a myth at first, until I tried it out. I went past 7 black gates around my neighborhood, and when I went to sleep, my dreams were of a furious fire. It stopped and there was a man, tall and bulky. His eyes were rather squinted, showing his age, and his legs and hands were thin and looked as if they could barely support his weight. He spoke with a scratchy and dying tone, saying, "Emo clue out of nerves, sitches to fillin." Chuckling, he opened the gate. My whole body became numb, and I was unable to fight it as it moved on its own. Struggling did not work. Without any control of myself, I went through the first gate. Gate 1. I saw fire and corpses that were more horribly mutilated and discredited and burnt. They were sobbing so loudly that I couldn't even hear the own cackles of the fire. One came to me, one with one eye and bullet holes over him, and he said, "We are the desecrated corpses who did not get a proper burial. We are here to stay till Judgment Day." I went past him and went to Gate 2. It was in a building. Gate 2. I was in a dungeon. There were people tied up, screaming in pain. One was being sawed in half very slowly, his body repeatedly healing, ready to be sawed again. One was an Iron Maiden, with a door being opened and closed, but ever causing any visible harm. A man in an executioner's mask said to me, "We are the torturers tortured by our own devices." I went past by him to the exit, towards the third gate. Gate 3. This time I was in the forest. It was silent except for a few yells. There was a man hanging from a noose. Another man fell off a cliff, reappeared, and fell off again. I began running away from the horribly burnt woman chasing after me. I already knew what this was one. These were the people who committed death and took their own life. I ran through the 4th gate, which was in a palace. Gate 4. Suddenly, I was in the palace, surrounded by emperors, politicians, and very really wealthy people. And an emperor was being gunned out by lions, and when the lion ripped a limb off or slashed him, the appendage grew back and the injury healed. A politician was being eaten by what looked like the shadows in prisoners' clothes. A man in a suit came to me and said, "We are the corrupted people. The people who use their power to help themselves and not others." I walked to the next gate, the 5th. Gate 5. I was in a room. There was a man tied up in a bed, being lashed by floating spiky leather whips. A woman was being burnt by a lighter, but her screams and cries were muffled by a cloth that was used as a gag. Another large man came up to me and said, "We are the offenders and predators, paying for our crimes on earth." I ran to the 6th gate. Gate 6. I was in another room. A man and a woman were being stabbed, their wounds healing almost immediately, just like everyone else. Another person was being buried alive, and someone else was being hit and jabbed with a floating metal bar. I knew who these people were, murderers being harmed in the way they killed their victims. The exit was on the 7th gate. The final one was the nightmare was over. "It's almost over," I said to myself. Gate 7. I was outside. There was a man wearing a shroud over his head, coated with explosives. He blew up, regenerated, and he blew up again. Another one was being beaten, stabbed by sharp metal objects, and burnt by torches, lighters, and matches. They were held by people who looked like the shadows. One of them came to me and said, "They were the mass murderers and terrorists, and the bombers. I am the shadow of one of their victims, beating them with taking revenge for killing us on Earth." I ran towards the exit. When I woke up in the morning, I became horribly scared. The images what I saw ran through my head. In fact, that was all I could think about for the whole year. It became Halloween again, and I didn't dare go outside that night. I just went to bed. It took me a while to go to sleep. When I did, I was in front of the first gate of hell. There was a teenager like me staring at me. He was shocked to see me. My body became too numb. In hell, there was a teenager like me staring at me. But of course, I could not control myself again. I said to him in a scratchy, dying tone, "Emo mo clue do these kneves is guided for hail." I chuckled, opening the gate for him. After he went outside with the expression what looked like it was frightening of something and struggling. I looked at myself in the reflection of the goblet filled with what looked like blood. I saw the gatekeeper. I became the gatekeeper. In fact, I am the gatekeeper.